Hi guys, today I'll be showing you how I've perfected my brow technique. My brows and I have come a long way, and you know that if you've been following me since 2008. First, let me take you through a time warp. Long before brows were a thing, little old me thought that I had good brows. I wouldn't tweeze or color them in, as you can see, hence the reason they look so non-existent in these pictures. But eventually, I decided, okay, let me add some color to these puppies. I think they still looked undone and sloppy, but back then I thought they looked amazing, but no one told me. Then one day I decided to tweeze the crap out of them and make them look very boxy in the front and way too dark. And they stayed like this for longer than I'd like to admit. Fast forward a year or so later, and lightning must have struck me because I decided to let my brows grow back somewhat. Yay! No more chola brows, but hey, you do you, boo. I only tweezed where absolutely needed, but even though my brows looked better, they still never looked fleeky enough for me. One day, by the grace of God, I finally figured out what works best for my brows. You might think this was common sense, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't actually know this trick. So, here I am, gonna teach you my ways. So these are my brows as of today. I don't wax. I just tweeze where I absolutely need to, just a little bit on top and bottom. Then I go in with the Urban Decay Brow Beater, and I take the shade Neutral Brown. I like to first go in with the spoolie part and brush my brows through just to make sure that all the hairs are in place and I have a nice little guideline to follow. I like to start my brows right before where they actually begin. So this ensures that I don't get like a boxy brow, if you know what I mean. If you like that look, that's all you, girl. Do your thing. It actually looks good when done right on some girls, I will say. As you can see, I just continue to build up my brows, really. For the top, I have to create more of a shape for obvious reasons. When I do get to the front, though, I make little hair-like strokes going upward just so I don't deposit too much color. And then with the spoolie, I brush my brows down just to make sure I don't have any little gaps. And if I do, I fill those in very lightly. But I stick to the same idea on the bottom, brush them up, make sure there aren't any gaps, and then continue. And I'm going to fast forward this part for you here just so you can see me fill in the other brow. If you like your brows natural, then you can move on to the carving step that I'll show you in a little bit. But if you like to take them up a notch, make them look a little darker, I'm going back in with the same Urban Decay Brow Beater, but this is just in the color dark. And I like to go underneath the brow and carve it out some more and kind of darken that line up a bit. I don't go on top because sometimes that can make my eyes look really heavy, so I only take it right underneath. If you feel like your face can take a really dark brow, then you can go ahead and do this step on top and just keep it more towards the outer portion of the brow. Moving on, we are now going to carve the brow. So I like to take a concealer and my favorite brush to carve with. This is the Zoeva 266 smudger brush. You can take a lip brush or an angled brush with this, but something that flattens out really nicely to get you a really precise thin line. So I take that brush and I dip it in the concealer, and then as you can see, I just go in and I start carving. You want to use a really light hand with this. If it's easier to just go in little tiny motions, start with doing that. But because I do this so often, I now have perfected the technique and I can just slide it all the way across pretty much. Don't get me wrong, there are days where I do fudge up, but this was a good day. After I carve it, I like to just drag the concealer down to make sure that it's nice and blended because you don't want this to be too harsh. Another trick is that I like to go in with a concealer that matches my skin tone or something that's just not too bright because I feel like it can kind of overpower and look a little bit too dramatic. But if that's what you're going for, then yeah, you can take a color that is a lot lighter if you want to like really brighten up your under eye area or your underbrow area. Then I'm just going to set that under eye with the color Buttery. This is from the Self-Made palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. And I just set that with a flat brush. This is the 242 flat shader brush from MAC. And then, of course, to make sure that everything is blended, I went back in with my blending brush and just softened any harsh lines. Last but not least, I go in with clear brow gel. Now this trick has taken my brows over the top and I get so many compliments, and it's kind of exciting getting compliments on my brows because I never used to get them. I mean, you guys have seen why, but this is just any clear brow gel. I think this is from Milani. Literally anyone works. Like there isn't, I don't know, I haven't tried high-end ones, but this one works just as good. And ta-da! Instagram worthy brows, my friends. I encourage you to try my tips and tricks at home and let me know how it goes. I want to hear all about it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!